This also came on my on my Instagram this weekend. Apparently, a 95-year-old woman was charged with beating a nursing home roommate to death. Okay, so viejita on viejita crime, bro. A 95-year-old killed her roommate to death, bro. That's insane. And I think this happened in New York.
Right now, to
A ver, qué pedo.
an unthinkable crime in Coney Island. A 95-year-old woman now being charged with murder for the fatal beating of her elderly roommate.
So disturbing. Fox 5's Sharon Crowley is live in Coney Island with more on the investigation. Sharon?
Yeah, we're getting some new information from the criminal complaint about exactly how this crime took place. We are live right now in Coney Island. We're outside the Seagate Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Coney Island. And as you said, police have charged a 95-year-old woman with murdering her 89-year-old roommate. Both of them were in this facility when it happened. Now, this happened as Sunday on a third-floor room of this residential facility. Now, according to the criminal complaint that was filed by the Brooklyn DA, a nurse telling police that she checked on the 89-year-old victim, Nina Kravtsov, and she said that she was asleep. And then an hour later, the nurse returned to the room only to find her covered in blood, and her roommate, the defendant, 95-year-old Galina Smir.
Like, serious question, do you send a 95-year-old to prison? Because they could barely fucking move, dude. Well, at least this one, we know she could move because she fucking hit her multiple times. But serious question, do you send them to prison? Or house arrest? I'm assuming house arrest?
Nova washing blood off of her clothing in the bathroom. Now, the criminal complaint.
They usually get off on... No, not this one, dude. This one needs to be locked up or some shit. This one's a crazy one, bro.
Reads in part that the victim, Nina Kravtsov, was lying in her bed, non-responsive, covered in blood with a gash mark about her face. And further, the witness saying that the defendant was in the bathroom that is inside the patient room and observed that the defendant's hospital gown was bloody and the defendant had blood on her legs, and the defendant was also washing her hands in the bathroom sink.
Janice says she's getting live. So 6 months?
Spoke with families who have relatives in this care facility a short time ago. You can imagine they were shocked.
I was terrified. I didn't know what to think, actually. And it's like the first thing I did was call to make sure my mom was okay and that nobody else got hurt. And then I came to visit her today.
I heard about accident. That's it. That somebody killed somebody.
What did you think?
It's terrible. Terrible.
When I came to see my wife at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30, she explained to me, like what happened. I just said to she, yeah, I see everything in the news.
And court documents showing that investigators may be looking at the pedals of the wheelchair as a possible murder weapon. They were covered in blood, according to the criminal complaint. And one of those pedals was seen. It was thrown out the third floor window and later found and confiscated by police. So the defendant in this case
she even threw the pedals.
Has been moved to Bellevue and will be back in court later this month. For now, I'm Sharon Crowley in Coney Island. I will send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, really.
Wait, do we have... Hold on, I want to see how this 95-year-old looked, bro.
Now, Randy, what the hell
Oh, shit. Another news report.
happened in that room? Were they arguing? Is there some explanation for this?
As far as I know, there is absolutely no explanation for this. What we have here is we have an 89-year-old mother,
Bro, why y'all...
grandmother, great-grandmother, who had been at Seagate for 5 years as a result of having suffered a stroke. There is no history of her being anything other than a booby, other than being a mom, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. She then is bunked with the defendant in this case, a 95-year-old.
Wait, is that her? Or is that the woman that passed?
Dementia patient. And you don't have to be a doctor. You only have to be a criminal defense attorney to know that dementia patients, regardless of their age, are prone to fits of uncontrolled rage and violence.
Is
when
that
unsettled.
going to be the
That's
defense
sad.
here, that this is a 95-year-old woman with dementia who's not responsible for her faculties?
That certainly seems to be the path that the defense is going down. There is a mental disease or defect defense as a result of the dementia. That goes to the intent, the state of mind to commit the crime. And then there will be the question of her competency,
her right there.
her ability to aid
Sure.
in defending herself.
Yeah, so here is this picture of her in the wheelchair, presumably making a court appearance. Do you have any idea, how many times have you been to Rikers or to sort of a New York jail to visit one of your defendants who's newly landed in jail? What do they do with a suspect like
Are
this?
dementia patients violent? I don't think they're violent. I just, like they said, they get angry fast. But I don't know about violent. I mean, I guess to each their own.
When they process them into a jail, how do they even house them?
That is a great question, which is why you look at the mental disease or defect defense. And this way, what you look to do is have the judge commit your client to the correctional area of, for example, Bellevue.
They can think you're there to hurt them. Actually, yeah, I'm wrong. That's true.
Hospital. So you don't end up in a classic detention center. You end up in a hospital, but there is a special part of the hospital for prisoners.
Do you know if they were new roommates? Like, did this suspect show up in this room within the last little while, and did they not get along? Like, is there a backstory at all?
The backstory, as I understand it, and it makes perfect sense. Dementia patient. She is a new patient to this facility. She had only been there for 48 hours. My understanding is that because
only 48 hours? Damn. She was new.
Defendant speaks Russian and Nina spoke Russian, Seagate thought it would be a good idea for them to room together. So the defendant was put in Nina's room. And again, with a dementia patient, putting a dementia patient in unfamiliar surroundings, in making her unsettled, making her unhappy, upset.
That's a thing that she beat her with. Looks like with a footrest from the wheelchair.
Leads to rage in a dementia patient. You can never leave a dementia patient unsupervised, unattended, particularly a brand new one when you know nothing about the woman.
Yeah.
You certainly don't leave her with an 89-year-old woman. That is a recipe for what we see here. I am on with you right now as a result of what should have been clear as day to Seagate.
Well, if she's convicted and she's sentenced, she's 95. She may not live longer than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe years if she lives to 100 for that murder. Randy Zellin, yeah. I gotta cut it there just because I'm flat out of time and it's already 10:45. But thank you. Will you come back?
Of course.
Love having you, Randy Zellin.
Of course, my horse.
Joining us. By the way, we did reach out to the attorneys for the alleged murderer, Galina Smirnova, and they did not respond to any of our attempts to contact them, but we'll keep trying. Still ahead tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, dude, I don't see her going to prison like that. Obviously, she's 95, so like some of y'all were saying, probation or at the hospital.